Kyle, come over here. Look how white my teeth are.
Valerie, Kyle Travel Channel.
We made it. We are in Victoria. This is our first time in a Canadian cruise port. What is there to do? Our stop was from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I actually am part of a lot of Alaska Facebook groups. People have great advice, but I also see a lot of people saying, I don't even think I'm going to get off the cruise ship. We're going to be there at such weird hours. I don't know what to do. I'm so glad we got off the ship because it is a really beautiful city and it was light the entire time we were there. So that was in July. So we did plan what we were doing in Victoria that day or the day before. We didn't have anything planned. We knew we wanted to go walk around downtown. So Kyle found on Viator a ghost tour. The price was right for the four of us, right? It's our last port. We had spent so much money at different ports. We didn't want to go all out. So it was $40 for the four of us to go on an hour-long ghost tour, which was fantastic. One thing I kind of wish I knew before we got there, or we had done a little bit more research on, was the bus slash shuttle system at the port. It's really easy to navigate. It is a double-decker bus that takes you straight from the cruise port to the downtown area. It's like 10 or 15 minutes. It is $15 per person for unlimited rides. Not ideal because it felt like just costs were racking up over the span of the cruise with all the different ports we went to. But it was fine. We paid the 15 per person. If you like to walk, they do say, I think it's like a 25-minute walk maybe. So that could be an option too. I think when we go back, we will try to just walk from the cruise port so you can take in the beautiful sights and the beautiful architecture. It is a very pretty place. I will say what I've absolutely loved about all of these bus and shuttle things that we've had to do is that they are mini tours. And this one was no different. So on the way from the cruise port to the downtown area, our driver told us about anything and everything. He told us about different buildings we were passing, historical things. He told us about living there, about the cost of living. They're not just leaving it completely silent or playing music. You actually do get to learn as you're on your way to your destination. Some of the information he told us: Victoria was established in 1843, named after Queen Victoria. Gas prices, we love gas price talk. So it is 1.689 Canadian dollars per liter. So 4 liters per gallon. With the currency exchange, that's about $4.75 for a gallon of gas. Minimum wage, $17.85 Canadian dollars or $12.98 USD. What this led us to when he kept talking was the average house price in Victoria, 931,916 Canadian dollars, which is about 682,000 USD. Everyone on the bus was just questioning, how can people afford to move here or live here? And he said, really, your best chance is if your family has had a house and passed it along from generations. It's amazing listening to someone's perspective who lives in a place and can tell you kind of what the day-to-day struggles and the day-to-day life is like. It's my favorite thing. I always tell you guys because I think it's so interesting and I want to remember it in the future. So that's why I put it in here. We are gonna check out Miniature World. So this is our first stop in Victoria, and then the ghost tour, which is really, our meeting point is like a 5-second walk. So here we go. Miniature World. Entry fee is $20 per person. Initially, I thought, oh, that's a little high because we just had the 15 per person that kind of crept up on us for the shuttle. And then you realize there's so much to see. I think $20 per person is more than reasonable. This was founded in 1971. There are 85 dioramas, and they call it the greatest little show on earth. I love miniatures. I'm going to say that first. I absolutely love everything that's miniature. Second, the amount of displays in this building is insane, and the level of detail is wild. It just kept going. It kept going and going. The four of us afterwards were like, wow, we wish we had another half an hour to an hour to read all the little plaques. I'm going to show you some of my absolute favorites here. I loved the castles. I loved Jack and the Giant Beanstalk. There was my absolute favorite, which was the circus. An entire circus display down to teeny tiny rides that are actively moving. The displays go from night to daytime. They have lights that are timed. If you go to Victoria and you only pop off the ship to do one thing, go to Miniature World. It is a sight to see. Give yourself like an hour maybe so that you have time to experience all the displays, push all the buttons, watch all the trains move and the different interactive things. It was awesome. Here's what it was like. Look at these. Oh, that's cool. Look at it. Is that what planet is that?
Earth.
Earth. Smile.
The sun's setting and all the lights are turning on.
Look. The sun's setting over the town.
Yeah, it goes through like a minute day pretty much, and then it'll be night for 30 seconds.
Look at these miniature castles. Oh my goodness. Was anyone else obsessed with castles growing up? Look at these miniature museum totems. How cool is that?
Well, when you hit this button, it makes them chop the beanstalk down.
Oh my god. Look at him. That's where we can push a button and see ourselves. There's me. There's me. A miniature circus. Look at all of these.
The fun continues. Walk with us to the next and experience the glittering.
It's something to see, man. I never been to a circus this big.
No.
Rides and the show.
It's very impressive. The last thing we did was go on the ghost tour. So this is the ghostly walking tour in Victoria. Like I said, Kyle just happened upon it the same day, I think. And we said, yeah, let's give it a try. It's an hour-long tour. It was perfect timing from when we got there, 5 p.m. to when we had to be back on at 10 p.m. The tour started at 7:30. We got done at 8:30. The last bus left at 9. We had a really nice time window to do this tour. We actually did a ghost tour earlier this year. That was in Virginia Beach. It was fantastic. I actually really love listening to all the stories and the lore about different hauntings, different sightings, even if it's just historical stories about things that people think they saw. It is a great way to learn about some of the history, to learn about some of the buildings, and get a tour of something that you would never do yourself. I am not going to go into the archives of Victoria, Canada for a specific building and try to figure out what may have happened, which is exactly what they do for the ghost tour. They do all of this research. So it's typically teachers or historians that are running these. They do a significant amount of research. They put these stories together and then they bring it to life for you. The meeting point was really easy to find. It was just like the visitor center. So we got there and we immediately started on our tour. You do spend a couple minutes at each stop. Your tour guide is going to tell you different stories about things that people have relayed and said that they saw or heard. And then they go into the archives and they try to figure out if something sinister happened in these places. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think it was so fun and it's such a different thing to do. You're not just hopping off, going and grabbing a drink that you can get anywhere. You're not just kind of mindlessly shopping. You're learning about some of the history in the area. And like I said, these places you're not going to go to on your own. So here's a well that we looked at that had some creepy things that happened in the past. It was actually buried. They dug it up. I'm not going to go into too much detail about any of these because that is what the tour is for. My favorite story, and this was the last story, took place in Rogers Chocolates. I love chocolate. I love ghost stories. This was a perfect pair. I'll leave that here for you. So if you want to look up anything before you head to Victoria, feel free to learn a little bit about what may have happened at Rogers Chocolates, if you can find it in the archives.
So they called a staff meeting. Everyone had to work here had to go put their hand up against the print to prove who was pulling the prank, which was a good idea until none of the handprints matched. And their next step in reasoning was to contact us. Okay, to the archives we go, right?
And there is quite a line. It's about 8:40 and they run every 15 minutes. We have to be back at the cruise ship by 9:30. So we should make it on this one. The shuttle on the way back was another mini tour, my favorite. It was a little bit hard to hear. We did have some rowdy people behind us, but I still kind of got the gist of what our driver was saying. So we drove past the Parliament building. So I looked this up on the website. When they're open, you can take a free 40-minute guided tour, and you can also observe debates when the Legislative Assembly is meeting. I think would be so cool just to watch. It's going to be really dry and boring, but it would be really interesting to see. I think the tour would be great too. So if that's something you're interested in, government buildings and the inner workings, look up those times. It may coincide with when you're there. That could be a really interesting thing to do, a 40-minute free guided tour. That sounds awesome. The Hotel Grand Pacific is really beautiful. We passed that. And I looked into this one a little bit deeper, the Huntingdon Hotel and Suites. So this dates back to 1875 when William Pendray came to Victoria with money he made during the gold rush. In 1893, he had the first telephone installed in a private residence in British Columbia. That's insane. The property did change hands a few times over the years, and in 1980 it was expanded into the hotel you see today. The only thing that prompted me into looking deeper into this was the architecture. The buildings around Victoria are beautiful. I hope you enjoyed seeing what we did in Victoria, and it gives you ideas about what to do there. My favorite thing about this was when we got on the elevator on the ship, we did have little ghost tour stickers, and people saw them and they were like, they had a ghost tour? How did you find that? How was it? People were so excited to hear about the ghost tour, and it was awesome to do something that is so different than every other stop that we did. So different. I can't wait to go back to Victoria. We already have our next cruise to Alaska scheduled for next year. We got back and I am dying to go back. I have unfinished business in Alaska, so we already have our plans. Make sure you also check out Juno, because today I released 2 videos just like last week because we have so much coming up. I'm doubling up. So today I released this one, Victoria and Juno. Last week we had Ketchikan and Sitka. Check those out if you haven't already. So after you check out the other 2 cruise ports, make sure you also check out the video where I go through how much we paid for the cruise. We booked it on a casino comp. We got an amazing deal. I think you are going to be so shocked at how much we spent in total for this cruise for 4 people. So I go through that. I am going to tell you about the room that we had, which I thought, this is the room, this is going to be great. And it was terrible and I hated it and I ended up wearing earplugs. I actually put out a mini video on that because I want to help my light sleepers, anyone who's like me. I want to help you avoid the lack of sleep, because that is what I went through for a handful of days before I was like, I can't do it anymore. So I have that mini video. And then I also have a ship tour. So I'm going to go through a Quantum of the Seas. And because it's Alaska and you go to the glaciers, right? Mendenhall Glacier, I am going to show you what it was like to see it from the North Star Extended. I paid extra for that. Check it out and see if that was good or bad. So view from the North Star, view from the top deck, view from deck 14, view from deck 6. I have all these different perspectives and I'm going to show you what the best one was so that you can decide what area of the ship is right for you, and also if it's worth going up in the North Star Extended to see the glacier. Check out those videos. I have so much that came out on Alaska. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next trip.
I'm going now back to home. Goodbye, 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 everybody, goodbye.